Hello everybody, in today's video I want to share with you the most relevant AI tools specifically for industrial designs. I mean, there are millions of AI tools out there right now and all have this big promise to be the next holy grail, but mostly it's just another image generator, right? So I'm here to show you tools that are different from ChatGPT, different from Midjourney, that you can actually use as an industrial designer for very specific tasks and applications also. So if you're curious, stay tuned and learn more about what's out there at the moment. So let's go. So the first tool on my list is Atom, right? So Atom is an AI powered cut tool. So it is used to actually create geometries, do part editing with AI. It is at the moment an extension available for OnShape or Fusion, but the way I understand it, it's supposed to be also in the future be able to connect to other CAD softwares, right? And there it works similar to many others. You type what you want to do, and it does understand the context, so you can be specific. In this video, for example, they ask it to basically understand where there's a hole and apply the hole as a pattern to across the entire geometry, right? So that basically increases your workflow speed. You just have to type it. You don't have to basically create the hole first, make the linear pattern in the second step. So that's cool. And it has feature tree optimization. It understands the context. So if you select something that it does understand, this is the face of this and this part, right? So you can make specific prompts. It allows you to optimize the feature tree, right? By saying, all right, you have multiple radii applied here that are similar. Do you want to merge them into a single feature, or do you want to keep them together, or even do you want to turn them into a variable that you can use across the entire modeling process, right? So this can be very helpful. I haven't used it myself, so I cannot really validate. From the examples, it seems to be working with very basic but highly technical engineering components, right? So I think that indeed can be an interesting tool to work with. Next is Claude for SketchUp, the MCP, right? So Claude, I think it's Claude Design, dropped, right? So I think that's one of the strong points of Claude altogether. With the MCPs, it allows every product or software out there to be connected, or most of them to be connected to the large language model of Claude, so you can interact. So that is really strong. So that also works with SketchUp now. So you can basically ask Claude to build simple houses, right? SketchUp is software mainly used by architects. I think there is some free software parts. And the cool thing is that you can actually ask it to build a house, and you can download the SketchUp files straight from Claude and open them in SketchUp. So it's now working integrated, but at least it can operate together in a sense, right? So you have to switch between the different windows. And apparently it does so quite reliably in terms of simple architecture, but sometimes it messes things up, or they're not as perfect. Like the roof is not solid, or the walls are just surfaces, but the measurements are apparently all right. So that's something you can do. Then you can take floor plans, upload them to Claude, and ask Claude basically to generate a 3D house from that floor plan, which is really cool, right? Floor plans usually also have some indication of furniture already. They have dimensions, sizing, right? So that can be really helpful. In the example that I looked up, it seems like it was not all that accurate. It did like get the general gist, but there were also still mistakes in there. So we're still, I guess, in the early makings of this whole thing. Another cool use case is that you can actually take images, drop them into Claude, and ask it to model them inside SketchUp for you. And then you open it, and then you have an editable geometry, right? That at least looks somewhat related to the image. Next is Claude connection with Adobe Creativity, I think it's called. So basically, this would allow Claude to engage with all the different tools that Adobe provides, right? With Premiere Pro, with Lightroom, with Photoshop, with Illustrator, just all accessible from within Claude. The demo looks really cool, good, right? But online I saw rather mixed reactions. Some say, wow, that's the best thing ever. But also many people actually say that it doesn't really understand what I'm asking. It doesn't apply the changes as I want them to. So for me, it feels like at the moment, it's much more helping you to batch generate output rather than doing more. The next thing would be the Blender MCP from Claude, right? So it looks cool. You can basically create assets, textures, geometry nodes. The demo here mostly shows batch editing, right? So select all the geometries that have rock in their name and apply this and this texture. So that's cool. If you have 100 rocks, then obviously this helps. I was hoping for more, but there's actually, I saw some other examples. So this, you can clean up things, right? Remove stuff or name things, put them into several folders, give them order and structure. So that's cool. I also saw a video where they asked Claude to write an add-on that would be working inside Blender. So just a simple switch would turn off all the modifiers at once, rather than you having to be having to go through every individual one and turn it off in the preview. Or you can also ask it to create animation paths and do like animations all together from scratch, right? It's not only for cleaning, but yeah, I think there's a lot of potential here, and I expect the Blender community to go far and beyond with this stuff and apply it in very creative ways. The next one is Autodesk Fusion, another MCP. So it's similar in terms of you can now just use your natural language to make changes, right, to the model, ask it to place things, to move things around, to create exploded views. I didn't feel like the demo really showed anything that was really striking or new or difficult. So I don't know if the use cases they were showing are actually the best, or if we will see a lot more stuff coming up. But also, from what I see, it seems to use a lot of tokens from Claude, right? So if you work with and operate with the software in combination with Claude, then might be prepared to offer up a lot of your tokens for what it's supposed to do. And it also can take quite some time. I looked at one video where the guy actually took a technical drawing and asked Claude to basically build based on a technical drawing, which is, I think, really smart, right? Really helpful. If you have a technical drawing, you can just get the asset from Claude. And it worked rather all right. There were some minor details that were not correct, but it was taking like more than 10 minutes just running in the background, and it used up more than 10% of the tokens that the user had. Next up is Krea. Krea is really cool because it's basically a toolbox of AI tools, right? So it's not only like an image generator, you can generate videos, you can enhance images, you can do video lip syncs, you can create 3D geometries, do motion transfer from videos. But I think the coolest part is the real-time preview. So on the left, you can just draw, add images, edit stuff, and on the right, you will immediately see those images translated into whatever style you want, right? Realistic or whatnot. And you can really also work with rather simple shapes. So there's this YouTube channel, which is really cool. And he had some really nice samples for how he used Krea in this specific style. He creates packaging, different variations by just moving around simple geometries and shapes. It looks really realistic and convincing. And I think that way he really gets a lot of variation in a short amount of time. All right, and now this another really cool feature that I think that is very unique to Krea, right? So what you can do is you can basically screen share a window and open any program. This can be a modeling program, this can be a sketching program, this can be anything. So basically it turns every program into a preview that is translated into AI image generation, right? So in this example, I took Sketchbook and I just randomly sketched some lines in here. And then I basically asked it to take the section that I'm showing it in my Sketchbook program and use that as a reference, right? So I think that's really cool. It also works with Rhino, right? So if you model something very basic shapes and you ask it to make it like architecture rendering, then it works like straight away. So you can adjust the size of the screen that it's supposed to look at, basically the section of the screen. Adjust the prompt, like you have a lot of variables that you can play with in order to get to the outcome that you're looking for. The next tool is Vizcom. I guess by now you know that I am a fan because it's very specific to the industrial design workflow and process, right? So you can go from sketch to like a colored rendering to realistic material rendering. It supports really the natural workflow. You can play around with different colors, forms, shapes, and styles easily, all based on a base concept or direction, which is really cool. You can easily change colors. So I think that's very in a playful way. And then you can even make really realistic animations and videos and renders and really master the product visualization. I really like Vizcom. But we have another competitor, Vectary, which is basically a browser-based render engine, right? So not AI in the first place, but it's really cool because you can easily share realistic or let's say somewhat realistic renders of your products, and it has interactive pop-ups that you can use to highlight certain things, provide different variations to like your client, so for them to look at. You can even use the AR, so you will be provided with a QR code you can scan with your phone, and you can just place it in the room that you're in without having to download an app or whatever, and see also things in the right scale, right dimension and size. So that's cool. That's really cool. Basically, also the idea is that you drop in your own 3D files to render them, but it also apparently also now includes the option to just take an image and translate that into 3D, right? So it gets closer to what Vizcom is doing, but has a different approach. It feels more like Keyshot to me. They are now introducing a new workspace, which is in the beta at the moment, and that looks pretty similar to the workspace that I'm used to from Vizcom, right? I'm also biased, obviously, but here you can basically generate and create images and then apply materials to your different renders. It seems like giving you a little bit different and more control or more precise control, turn things into 3D. So it still amplifies its strength of rendering things in 3D eventually, right? You can also always get like the 3D model, I guess, for 3D printed prototypes or whatever. So this one I haven't tried in person, so I'm curious how it fares when I actually use it. I'm on the waiting list, so we'll see. Maybe you hear more about it in the future. You can create your own materials. I feel like it gives you a little bit more control in terms of how to define a material. It works with normal maps, right? With seamless tiled patterns, and you still have the interactivity of the animations. So it's a little bit, seems more precise or more for very specific applications rather than general animation product selling marketing videos. All right, the next tool is OnShape AI Advisor, right? So we already had OnShape in combination with Adam at the beginning, right? As an extension, but it also has its own AI Advisor, which basically provides you with guidance from within. So OnShape itself is like a cloud-based CAD modeling software, right? It's really strong. It's built by developers that were working for SolidWorks to begin with. They changed things and now created OnShape. And the AI Advisor basically helps you to understand the features, make it easier to get into it, and really is a reliable support for newcomers also. I think this would be the default for many other software packages in the future. They would just help you get into the software, right? Blender has a really steep learning curve. With these kinds of natural language AI supports advisors, you will have all the help at hand. How do I make this specific change for this specific scene? And you get like a very particular response, right? So it's not integrating AI in the sense of make this and this, therefore we would use Adam, but instead this is a thing that helps you start with and find the help where you need it, when you need it, very specifically. All right, the next one is ZooDesign. So this is supposedly the next gen CAD build for the modern era. It's very engineering heavy, it seems to me, right? So it allows you to generate editable B-rep geometry, right? So that's cool because most 3D generators, AI-based, are mesh-based, and that's not really what we want to have when we think in terms of manufacturability, producibility, right? Changeability, adaptability, the details, precision. We need NURBS geometry, B-reps. So Zookeeper is providing us with that. We can basically ask it also very specific engineering-based questions, right? Norms, tolerances that it's supposed to reference and consider also in the modeling process. I haven't tried it. Again, the demos look really promising. It supposedly even provides manufacturing feedback. How could you do this and this part component from what material in which process? So I think that can be really helpful, right? If it's aware of the different requirements different components have, that can be really a stepping stone. And this is also where I feel like CAD software will be going more and more into, right? Helping directly in terms of manufacturing details, requirements, considerations that are relevant. Maybe some of you guys have experience already, tested things. If you do, maybe you can share your experiences in the comments below and let us know. The next tool on the list is Raven. So Raven is an add-on for Grasshopper and Rhino. So basically it brings the capabilities of a large language model into Rhino and Grasshopper, and it allows you to create custom Grasshopper algorithms. And the benefit of that inside Grasshopper is that it remains completely adjustable and parametric, right? So it creates components that you can still change the sliders and add different nodes to in order to get to your final output. So here are some examples of the demo. So this guy is basically just creating a sketch or the silhouette of a building, and he asks Raven to turn this into a house with so many and so many stories. He's trying different facade shapes, seeing how they work together. He also applies slabs, and you see already he's still changing the curves, right? So it remains parametric in the sense that Grasshopper and Rhino work together. So you don't lose it by using Raven. And yeah, so he does that, goes on and on and on. I tried it myself, and for me, it failed to create a simple cubical volume with fillets on the edges. So it took a lot of time, like, I don't know, more than 5 minutes to just get it to model the cube in the dimensions that I wanted. And the fillet, basically it was already lost. I told it how to do it, but it didn't work. And yet I see demos out there also from Design Morphine where they create really complex geometries where you just put in like an image and maybe give it some help in terms of how to approach this. And it pumps out the solid geometries that you can still change and apply all the sliders to. So I'm a little bit, split on this guy. It feels cool, but my experience is far from what I've seen. So I feel like many of these software packages that I just share are still in their early stages, so they're not really mature. So I feel like I would wait for them to reach a certain stage before I jump in to really use them. But yeah, maybe you have different experiences. For me, that's basically what Raven is at the moment. But I think it would be cool and would make things a lot easier for people also new to Grasshopper to find ways to work parametrically, right? And the last example on my list today is nTop. So that's very specific. It's very specific applications for aerodynamic and automotive, right? And also additive manufacturing. It implements capabilities of generative design, topology optimization, computational design, right? All these things. I think field-driven design, this example is really cool to me because it basically creates a pattern that we would be able to model in Grasshopper, but it considers the loads, or some sort of simulation that is relevant for this product. So the pattern is not just a visual nice thing, but actually functional. So I think that's really interesting. Even though I have the feeling that the field is so specific that I don't think it's very interesting for the regular industrial designer that it's not working in those fields, at least not yet. Even though, again, the demos look really nice and cool. So where simulation is really integral part of the whole process. I think that's a cool idea, but also not every product and project requires loads of simulation. So also, again, it's a very specific use case. All right, that was it. I hope you enjoyed this selection of AI tools that are specific for industrial design. I hope I was able to convey the benefits and disadvantages also of some of these, my personal experiences with some of them. And if you have anything to add, let me know in the comments. If you find this cool, follow me for more. See you around. Thank you very much. Adios, amigos.